We were 3 days into a brutal heat wave with no end in sight. The air felt stickier than a melted gummy worm. I was killing time in my office, waiting for a job. It was one way to keep out of the sun. Then, like an answer to my prayers, in walks this crazy orange tin man. He beeps at me. For some reason, I understand his goofy robot lingo. Says he's missing one of his chest lights. I tell him I'll help him look, but we need to answer some fan mail while we're at it. Goes a little like this. Dear Tim and Moby, can you help me with adverbs? Thanks, Chico. Well, you're half right. Adverbs usually describe or modify adjectives and verbs, but they can also modify clauses and other adverbs.
So, adverbs, we've seen adjectives before, where they describe nouns. Tell us the color, the number, the texture, the size, something like that. Adverbs can describe pretty much anything except for a noun. If it's a noun or a pronoun, a person, a place, or a thing, then an adverb doesn't help us describe that. But it can help us describe actions. It can help us describe other adverbs. It can describe adjectives. Like I said, it can describe pretty much anything except for nouns or pronouns.
I talk a good game, but I'm just stalling for time. These grammar questions are always tough. Then it hits me. A better way to define adverbs is by what they do in a sentence. Adverbs answer questions like how, when, where, and to what degree.
So these are the things that adverbs will normally tell us about a verb or about whatever it is they're describing. It tells us where something is happening, tells us when something is happening, how it's happening, or to what degree, which could mean like if it was done well or if it wasn't done very well, if they did a bad job of it.
Oh, your chest light. Well, let's put it this way. To what degree is this light of yours important? Really important, huh?
We can see here they're telling us that it's not just important, that it's really important. So they're telling us it's not just like it's not just something that he has for decoration, it's something that is very important to adjective or that adverb really help describe it.
Would you say the light is very important? Incredibly important? I tell him those are all adverbs modifying the adjective important. The robot says great, but I'm pretty sure he's being sarcastic. So I ask him when he last saw this light of his. He says, I saw it before breakfast. You sure it wasn't after breakfast, I ask. What about during breakfast?
They give us another couple of examples of adverbs and what they can do. This one's telling us when. It says before breakfast or during breakfast or after. So when did he see it? We have this adverb during or before or after. It's telling when he saw that chest light before he lost it.
The robot tells me he's sure it was before. I explain that before breakfast, after breakfast, and during breakfast are all adverbial phrases modifying the verb saw. He says he doesn't care. He's getting a little tired of me. I tell him we can't rush. We have to investigate carefully. I add that we should also work patiently and slowly.
So again, they give us some pretty good examples of adverbs that tell us how. How are they going to investigate? They say carefully, patiently, slowly. That he doesn't want to investigate or look at this mystery of the missing chest light super quickly or make any mistakes.
The robot gets distracted. He asks if any word ending in ly is an adverb. So I give him this. No, but lots of adverbs do end that way. In many cases, all you have to do is add an ly to an adjective to turn it into an adverb.
So Moby brings up a good pattern to look for there. If you see a word and it has an ly at the end, it's not 100% sure, but seeing an ly at the end is a big clue that it could be an adverb. Now, like he told us, that doesn't mean that every single adverb has an ly at the end. They showed us earlier, like before breakfast. Before was helping us by telling us when he had seen the chest light. That doesn't end in ly, but most of them do. So if you see an ly at the end of a word, it's a pretty good clue that that's an adverb. And like he said, you can actually turn adjectives into adverbs, like careful, turn it into carefully, and now it's an adverb. Or patient, you can add the ly and it becomes patiently. Now it's an adverb. Or slow, you add the ly, you have slowly, and now it's an adverb.
But don't make the costly mistake of assuming every ly word is an adverb. To figure out if a word is an adverb, you have to look at what it's doing in the sentence.
Then he tells us that there are some examples that not everything in ly is an adverb. So like I said, it's not 100%. It's a good clue, but it doesn't mean for sure that you have an adverb.
Is an adverb. To figure out if a word is an adverb, you have to look at what it's doing in the sentence. I can see I'm losing the big galoot, so I steer the conversation back to the case. Where were you when you last had the light, I ask. I was here in the kitchen, he says.
So this is a good example of one that doesn't end in ly, but it does work as an adverb. So where was he when he saw it? He was here. He's telling us where he was when he last saw that chest light.
He doesn't realize that I've tricked him into using a location adverb. Just to rub it in, I say we have to look around very closely. How cool
Have an adverb that does have ly, closely, is telling us how they're going to look.
is that, I think? The adverbs around and closely show where and how we have to look, and the third adverb, very, modifies closely.
So this one even has a group of adverbs working together. That around and closely are both telling them either where, when they use around, or how to look. And then very is helping out closely. It's not just closely like regular closely. They're going to look very closely.
And to top it all off, that dopey robot didn't even notice. Anyway, we searched the kitchen for a good half hour. No dice. I hate to break it to the big lummox, but what are you gonna do? Unfortunately, it seems that your chest light is lost. Look on the bright side, at least you got to see how adverbs work. That's when the robot snaps. He approaches me.
Back it up a little. So they're using an adverb here to describe this whole situation. Fortunately, it seems that your chest light is lost. So he's telling them, even though we looked, we can't find it, so it doesn't look like we know where it is.
Look on the bright side, at least you got to see how adverbs work. That's when the robot snaps. He approaches me menacingly. I try to.
We have another one here that's showing how he's walking toward him. And we can see the pictures, so it doesn't we don't necessarily need it, but if this was just a piece of writing, if you were just reading something, that adverb helps you picture in your head how he's walking toward him. Since we have the pictures, it's a little bit easier for us because we can actually see it. But especially if you're just reading something, adverbs can help you to picture something in your head.
To explain that adverbs make writing more interesting and precise, but it's no good. The murderous tin contraption has flipped a circuit. The robot was right. My sneakers were awfully high.
So both of these are describing different things. So high is describing where the sneakers are, and then awfully is describing high. So not just high, but super high up. to where he couldn't even get them back. At least not without help, or like a ladder or something like that. All right, we can go ahead and turn our cameras back on. We're going to work with adverbs a little bit more during the week, but we wanted to watch that video to kind of give us an idea of what adverbs do. And I know we've worked with them a little bit before on like our DLRs, but this was a good one, a good video just to kind of remind us what they do and how they work.